Welcome back once again to the Game Challenger UK YouTube channel. My name is Tony Bello. I'm your host for today. We have Bosse and Joe, the co-host, just waiting there. And guess what? Our special guests are there still, Taruna and Steve. Well, just remember what we talked about last week. The new WoW. You know the wow factor? The new WoW. What do I mean by the new WoW? Those of you that haven't seen part one, go back to part one and go and watch it. But those of you that can't remember, guess what? The new WoW is the new way of working. That's WOW. So the new way of working is here, whether we like it or not. Now, what we made clear in the first part is that work has already changed, either unconsciously or consciously. AI, automation, agentic tools aren't just a concept anymore. They're already reshaping our workflows, roles, and expectations. Now, in this part two, but before I'm going to tell you, I just want you to like, share, and subscribe, guys, because I know you're going to forget, and then also comment. Share it with 5 people. I love you. Now, in this part two, we're going to go deeper, because once work changes, it's not everyone's benefit equally. So people don't benefit equally. The real question is this: who is going to rise in this world? Who is going to be at risk of falling behind? And guess what? What separates the two? Now, this is where our comfort zones get challenged, assumptions get tested, and the reality of adaptation becomes unavoidable. So let's talk honestly about the winners, the losers, and what it really takes to stay relevant in this new way of working, the new WoW. So without further ado, I'm going to go over to the studio, but before that, please, I know you're going to forget, like, share, and subscribe, and comment, and share with 5 people. So we're going to go over to the studio. Remember, the new WoW, the new way of working. Over to the studio right now.
From the data that you're seeing and the trends you're seeing right now, what's the biggest sign that the ways we work has already changed? What's the biggest signs you're seeing?
That's a good question. Well, the clear sign is, like, as employees, if you look at how things have changed in the last 6 months in terms of your day-to-day tasks, your operational tasks, you'll find that 75% or more of employees have adopted the use of AI somewhere in their workflow. I know I have. And it means that a task that might have taken me like days or weeks, I can probably complete in hours or weeks, depending on what task it is. So rather than me spending time coding, AI can code a lot faster and a lot better than I. Therefore, I can just use the AI tools to design my solution and then write the code for me, and I'm implementing it. So I think employees are more the orchestrators of artificial intelligence rather than doing the repetitive tasks. We're using artificial intelligence to power our tasks, and most employees have adopted it in their workflow for sure. I was going to say something else, but it's kind of like it kind of has escaped me, so it might come back, kind of thing.
It's quite interesting you say that, because like every now and then I kind of do a few days in college just to help out with the community, because I like giving back to the kids. And I know that when I'm there, people are the staff there always ask me questions, and they asked me a question a few days ago. It says, Tony, can AI produce questions for our quiz? I'm like, yeah. Oh, really? How? Yeah. So I showed him. I think yesterday they were asking me, oh, can it create a PowerPoint?
Yeah.
I said, yeah. But the thing about it, if you saw how excited they were like, Tony, you're a genius. I said, I'm not the genius. Yeah, it's genius.
Exactly.
Yeah. And they were like, it's like you just took a whole weight off their head. They were just dreading the whole assignment, the whole task. And now you change the task into one prompt. And there it was. Bam. So exactly. Yes, you're right. It's changed the workflow. It's changed. I think what I'm looking at is the mundane tasks. the repetitive tasks, the boring tasks. You know, for years and decades, I've always said, why do we have to, as human beings, to be doing boring things every day and get paid to do it?
Hmm.
You know, we saw it coming in before, even with automation.
Yeah, we
When we
did.
looked at, I think Taruna mentioned the fact that she goes to the supermarket and she has the self-serving tills. I remember I used to go to when they started bringing those self-serving tills in. There was only like two or three of them, and the rest were human
Hmm.
manned by humans or operated by humans. And I used to go to the human. They used to say to me, "No, go to the self-serve until you only have a small little basket." I said, "I'm saving your job. I'm saving your job. The more people that go there, that means the more self-serving tools they're gonna have, and you're gonna." They didn't understand it. The work, they just didn't understand it. But but when you think about it, what were they doing at the tills? They take it, they scan the barcodes. Take it, scan the. That's not that. That's really boring.
Hmm.
Yeah, and you do that all day. So all these mundane, repetitive tasks, those are the ones that I think agentic era is now come for. And more. I mean, what I'll do is let me go to Joe because we haven't heard
Yeah.
from Joe yet, and then we're going to go back to Steve because I know Steve is ready to go. He's heard some things, and he says, "No, no, no, I need to get on the top of this." So if I can, Joe is going to give us 100 years of experience of AI, agentic AI. Over to you, Joe.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed. 100 years is far too much. Few years, I must say. Right. Um, Steve and everyone has described what is going on with agentic means automation, basically. So automation, the basic um, daily business processes and tasks. From that point of view, it has its pros and cons. Its pros, I discussed the pros. From a point of view, it is highly productive tools to use. From writing simple emails, from responding to marketing, reputation marketing complaints, to doing simple letter writing. It does all of that at a quick response, to doing research and coming back with statistics to allow us to make decisions. Yeah, from a data analyst point of view, from a cybersecurity point of view, that's a negative side I'm going to discuss. So it is powerful in the sense that it's efficient, productive, and it brings money to the shareholders. Yeah, by automation, it brings money to the shareholders. And companies are on a fast track. Countries like Russia, China are using using automation in a powerful way that we're not using it. We're far behind China and other countries, especially China and Japan. They're using it, they're embracing it, and they're putting governance to control the way that works. So that's the positive part: money, productivity, etc. And we don't have to work as long hours like we used to do. The negative side is these agents are also being picked up by hackers to infiltrate application, network, etc. and find out the vulnerability, come back and give me the data and give me the vulnerability in the network and application so I can infiltrate those systems and collect money. So that's the negative part of it. And it is making people redundant. Although developers are saying it can do this, it can do that, but that's a lie. It's not that fully developable. The AGI or the super AI is not fully developed yet because it can do some things and some things are not perfect. And what's happening is there's snake oil advertising of what AI can do or agentic can do. When you come to using it, it does not actually fulfill the requirement they say, but they're saying it in order to get more investment, more investment. The investment is around trillions of money to develop it. And many private companies are on a race, super race, to invent the super artificial intelligence and agentic, because those who have the power to develop it in such a sophisticated way will dominate. We have the monopoly on the market, and even oligopoly on the market. Yeah. So that is the race for the private sector that they're doing. It may not be perfect now, but 2 or 3 years, just like our mobile. In the old days, we can only just text and talk. Now it is a fully fledged computer system. And that's where the agentic is going to develop. It's a robotic system. The Chinese are using it, running buses without drivers, having 24 hours factory making cars without manpower, but remotely.
Okay, great. I think that's a great education to everybody to see the different places in life where it's having impact, making a difference, how it's impacting on people and also society, organizations. But I think, thanks you, Joe. I want to go back to Steve because Steve had a few hands up. So I want to just go back to Steve. Steve, did you have something you wanted to reply to something, or you wanted to respond to something?
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up about the people side of it, you know. Background, one of the skills the practice I have is about user experience and also experience and employee experience. Now, these topics have given me insight into the effects of not just time, really. It's really about core and how that has affected employees and the ramification of mental health in general. Okay, and what I would say is that the data is in on the effects of AI. The AI in use, the algorithms that we talk about on Facebook and Instagram and search and all of that already negatively impacted society on that well-being scale. Suicides are up. Yeah, mental ill health is up. Every second person are diverse. Yeah, has problems concentrating. Yeah, all these factors. Yeah, are now real. Yeah, and some of it has been influenced by technology. If you look at the corporate world in general, the financiers, the way that they approach it, they do not and are not really considering empathically the impact on human beings. Okay, so the EU AI Act 2025 has a recommendation of keeping the human in the loop. So that means keeping someone who is able to verify, who is a point of contact, someone who's controlling, whatnot. Yeah, that's all great. Yeah. However, we don't have that same kind of ruling in the United States. It may be a recommendation, it's not a requirement. Therefore, the systems that they can do don't need to take into consideration the employee as much as they would in the EU. Now, when they do need to in the US take into consideration the employee, it's the American employee that comes first, and secondly, it's the employee that they can afford to keep. So the results have been over the past two years, and it's not because the companies are ready to replace those individuals with AI. agents or anything like that. They are fully aware that the technology is not yet mature enough. However, by clearing the decks, by reducing their headcount, they are preparing to, as earlier, monopolize, exploit the technology to its maximum potential for financial gain, especially when it's not actually mature enough already. It's not actually for full human consumption. Yeah. And the areas in which, and this is my last point, the areas in which I believe it needs to be applied and could be applied for the betterment of mankind generally, it's not because areas are not profitable. Okay, so it's the profitable area going to see investment, a lot of pushing, and the fallout of it is not going to cause calculations.
Right. Well, you've got so many points there, and obviously the mental side, the mental health side is a major thing that's happening right now, and also it's something that we also want to talk about in another podcast too, which is obviously affecting the young kids, the people through COVID. They don't just need to be, even the older people too, and I think with the AI coming in now, that's just adding to the whole thing. Yeah, and now we're trying to, like, I think Charuna said, we're talking to robots. So that's going to affect your mental state too, because the robots don't have emotions. They don't have emotions. People have emotions. All robots know is instructions. Yeah, and that's one of the biggest problems we have. But I think that you've mentioned a few key points, which I'm sure everybody wants to respond to. But I want to go straight to Charuna on just if there's anything you want to respond to or say before I ask you any questions.
I actually agree with Joseph regarding the profit motive completely. I think it literally ignores people, which is pretty obvious to most of us, really, that if there is no profit, then the big organizations are highly unlikely to follow through. And then to move on to what Steve said about mental health, if purely the motive is profit and you're leaving out the human aspect, that does obviously lead to lots of real human issues. If you're being replaced by AI, then you don't have an income. That results in, poverty, mental health issues, and all the issues that he was. So it's a vicious cycle. And there has to be a point, which is, there's some sort of tipping point where it's realized that, no, we can't actually keep doing this. If we're going to have something that could possibly benefit people, why is it only really benefiting a very few? So that, I agree with both of them, really.
Great. So I think what I want to ask you, because obviously there's a gap between how work is described and then the actual experience of people, how people experience it. So is there anything you can shed some light on that in terms of firstly, where do you see the biggest gap between how work is described and how it's actually experienced by people?
I think to hit on what Bosse was saying earlier, it's literally about working smarter, not harder. So you can integrate all these wonderful tools and technologies, but if you think about it, that's been happening for years and years and years. And every sort of, 20 years, we're going to replace people. And the gap, I think, exists in the understanding of what the technology will actually do and how people will react to that technology. Mm-hmm. So a lot of roles, they list all the different qualifications and things that you need to fulfill that role. And a prime example is if you're a doctor, you need to go to uni for whatever number of years. Mm-hmm. You know, you need to be going through your certifications regularly. You need to have a consultant monitor you for X number of years. And that knowledge is gained. Yes, you could use tools to aid you in the diagnosis, but it doesn't actually give you the information that the other human is going to give you, and your ability to translate that information into something relevant for that person. So if I've got 10 different symptoms, it could mean there's 15 different things that are wrong with me.
Right.
And only the real conversation will result in somebody understanding what's actually going on.
Right.
So it's an understanding that there is a gap there, you know, in the way jobs are described, but it doesn't stop you from actually saying, well, I can use the things available to me, but it's not going to be written down as this is the truth. I have to question what's there.
Right. Right. So, I mean, so I can see what you're saying, Trina, but I hear a lot of things in the medical industry saying how things have massively changed because of the technology. And also, to be honest with you, the medical industry is an example of how technology makes a massive difference. And then also, we hear about, what's it called? Pinhole surgeries, all this type of things going on. There's talking about now that now they can spot cancer much faster because they now have, remember, AI works on patterns, doesn't it? Yeah, it has data and it works on patterns. And the agentic AI, that's the tools now to be able to do the operation with now the knowledge that it has in terms of the data it has. And now you've got the tool, which is the agentic AI, to now do the operation. So do you not think that, I know that it's important to have a person in place, you know, but do you not think we're just kind of thinking from the old generation that we're used to having people in place, and maybe because it's not perfect yet, but if it becomes perfect, maybe we can actually say, yep, we can have it without. I mean, what do you think? If it became perfect, what do you think?
From my perspective, it can only be perfect as the information you put into it. And that's the thing that makes it fall over. Because if my brain was translated into everything that I know and stuck into an AI bot, it's not going to be correct. It never will be correct because I'm not correct all the time. So it's very hard to get to a point of perfection. You can probably get to 98, 90, 95%, which is probably the equivalent of a human. So I don't think we're going to go that way. I think there's always going to be a tipping point. If it does get to perfection, I have no idea what's going to happen in the future, but I can't see how, because AI relies on information. And if the information isn't actually correct to start with, but the assumption is that it is correct, it's what are you getting out at the end?
Yeah.
Because like we're having a discussion, we've all got different viewpoints. I can't see an AI bot being able to do this.
No, it can and it does. Yeah, I think what we are cognizant of is the fact that technology is moving at such a rate. Yeah, and there are bad actors, as Joseph described earlier, where not necessarily just bad actors who might be hacking, yeah, but also profiteering, or also exploiting, or creating propaganda, or creating discord. Yeah, there was some that came out that showed that there was propaganda, right-wing propaganda and whatnot, that was actually published not in the US or the UK or Europe, but it was published elsewhere in Asia. Yeah, and the question is, how much did this actually sway and get Trump into power? How much is this thing the socializing of the celebrities who are turning up in porn movies. You know, all of this kind of, you know, we're in an unprecedented time. There is no way to go on. There's no turning. We have to go co-opting, adopting, adapting, and then holding those who do have the keys, who does have the power and the technology accountable. Yeah, and I think that's, you know, I really commend the you did with the EAI Act. But it's almost futile attempt to resolve a problem that started many years ago. One of the key, I wouldn't say solutions or um, ways of dealing is the fact that the open source community, yeah, opened their doors, and the AI, that explosion was because it was actually open source. Okay, so that has negative impact in terms of bad actors being able to get hold of this technology and leverage it for their own. But it also meant that the average Joe blogs anywhere in, you know, some fantastic advances were made in Kenya and in India, and you know that wouldn't have been possible if it was behind some paywall that you had to pay X amount for from the beginning. So I do think there's a lot of positive. I think we really grab the ball by the horn as much as possible, starting with ourselves and our families and our community, and read the education agenda, because there's no avoiding it. It's here.
Fantastic. Thanks. I think I'll get Joe. Did you want to say something?
I just want to add to what Steve and Jonathan said. The genie has been let out of the bottle already. It is the rapid progression and development of these tools are beyond our control. As David says, beyond our control. The genie is at the bottom. The private companies are developing in such a rapid flow that it is not, we can't control it. From a cybersecurity point of view, they've got the resources, they've got the technology. And then from a social engineering point of view, what it is that, you know, you don't need to be a programmer in order to use agent, in order to use social engineering. Ordinary Joneses from a 13-year-old, 14 can exploit a system. Yeah, can exploit a system. That's one part of it. That the social element of it is that government is using AI in terms of tracking attacks, how much we earn, our bank, our social media, etc. So they're getting more information from the camera, from online, in order to make decision for us. And then now trying to introduce ID card, which will keep a whole lot of data. Everything is surrounding about data. Yeah. So the issue is legislation will not be able to control what's happening now. Will not be able to do nothing about what's happening. They can't even catch up. We don't even have the resources to catch up with what's happening now. From a social point of view, AI is involved in social media that drags us into the rabbit hole and mental issues. There are more younger people now, as what we said, who are committing suicide because the shorts, the media, the social media, the information that's pumped through from international cybersecurity. There's a word here, Russian, Chinese, state-sponsored security, who are infiltrating our political arena, and influencing our thinking. So the bottle, and is driving many of our young adult into mental issues. So those are, and as you said earlier, Tony, we're going to talk about that, the devices and all of these things. But that is the real issue. The issue, the genie has been let out of the bottle, and we can never put it back in again.
Great, thanks. I mean, to be honest with you, you know, they talk about Russian state sponsored, Chinese state sponsored. Listen, they all do it to each other. I don't even buy any of that. They all do it to each other. In China, there's UK state sponsored stuff, and they're all doing it to each other. So let's forget about all that nonsense about state sponsored. Listen, you just have to protect your borders, and protecting your borders is protecting your whole entry into your system. That's what everyone has to do. I mean, at the end of the day, that's it. I remember when I was even like, say, about 30 years ago, I used to say to people, there'll be no need for people to go to war anymore. You understand? Because at the end of the day, all they got to do is dismantle, just dismantle the electricity, isn't it? and then everyone walks in. You understand? So there's a, you know, it's a bit scary, really, when you think about it. And I'm sure something like that happened earlier on in this month.
All right there. Let's just pause there. Let's just take some time out there. That was the end of part 2. Wow, was that not off the hook? Now, would you agree with me? It's gone deeper than just tools and workflow. What we heard is how AI is not just changing jobs, it's changing people. It's already reshaping mental health, attention, and also how society behaves and how organizations make decisions, often driven by profit first and not people first. We also heard a reality check from Joe. The genie's out of the bottle. Regulation is trying to catch up, but the pace we're running is faster than the policies. And the risk isn't just technical, they're human and cultural and economic. So this leaves us in a good place to move on to part 3. And part 3 now, we need to ask a question. If this shift is real and it's accelerating, what does it mean for job losses, for skills, and for the future work for everyday people? That's where we go next on part 3. And that's where it becomes practical for you guys. Now, what I'd like you to do is please like, share, and subscribe. Remember, I know you're going to forget. Please like, share, and subscribe. And also notify so that you don't miss the practical one, which is, if this shift is real and it's accelerating, what does it mean for job losses, for skills, and for the future of work for everyday people, for you guys. So watch out, hold on tight, and remember, this is Tony from the Game Challenger UK, where we challenge the game, and this is our game this time. And we challenge the game so that you can get the solution. And please comment so that we can give you solutions to your problem if you have. So I think all I have to say is wow. The new wow factor, the new way of working factor. I love that one, Joe. The genie's out the bottle. Let's see what's going to happen in part 3. So again, that's me, Tony. Thank you. We love you all. We love you more when you comment, and we love you more when you subscribe, and we love you even more when you share. That's me, Tony out. Tony Bello from the Game Challenger UK YouTube channel. And thank you again for Taruna, our special guest, and Steve, and the co-hosts, Bosse and Joe. Look forward to seeing you in the next part 3. Now, guys, if you haven't seen part 1, go back and watch it. See you. Bye.